Hey, Kilted AXE. Grabbing me a fry and a Coke on the way home here. I'm just leaving, putting the order in now. Good. Thanks for coming over to Rumble. Do you want? Jacob had some nice coverage of the Starship test launch today. Looks like everything was successful with it.
Yeah, and I agree with you 1,000%. I like to keep it on the optimistic lane. But in the end days, according to the scripture, this is what's going to happen. Right is going to be wrong, wrong is going to be right. People are going to just fall away. They're going to be weak, and then comes the end. And so, unfortunately, I think that many of these people, in totality, are not going to stand up to you, right? But I do love the fact that there are some voices that are going to peek through and give as many people hope as they can, or people who are willing to receive, to give everybody an opportunity to hear the truth. That's the bottom line. The world is going to go to crap at some point, and I believe that wholeheartedly. But I want everybody, just like the gospel of Jesus Christ, I want everybody to be able to at least hear it and make a decision if they want to receive it or they want to reject it. And it's the same thing for the truth. I like when Snoop Dogg is saying that, because it proposes a new idea in somebody's mind to say, is this true or is this not? They have an opportunity at least.
Yeah, a successful test. Everything went pretty much the way they wanted. They even stress tested it. They left tiles away from fuel cells and stuff, and it didn't burn through. The insulation held without the tiles.
The ability to evaluate and make the right decision for your life.
Jacob just pretty much
this is the same thing.
Was covering it.
The gospel is something that I compare to everything else.
Jacob Castro channel.
You'll never change somebody. Well, not never, but it's often that you won't change them the first time you say it to them. The first time they get exposed to it, they feel the need to reject it. And then they may reject it now, but at least that seed was planted that over time, they're going to see something, they're going to experience something, and they're going to say, wait a minute. When that guy said that, or Snoop Dogg said this a long time ago, and then people will begin to wake up and sprout.
They will, and you're right about that. Some plant, some water, some.
Hi, would you be using your rewards today? Go ahead with your order.
That's one thing we can do.
You have a mobile order for HT81, Norm?
I'm sorry, what was that again?
HT81.
For Norm?
Yep.
All right, going to pull around. Thank you.
Allow the results to come, because God is going to oversee the success, because He never fails. He does not fail. He doesn't sleep, and He's not worried about anything, because He already knows what's beginning. I'm so glad you could join me again. We always have such good combos. Brandon Tatum, thank you for your service, sir, and thank you for coming on the show.
God bless you.
Thank you.
Have me back.
All right, we'll talk to you soon. And we got a break here. We'll be back with you.
An appeals court decision blocked this copper mine from being developed in Arizona. We'll talk with our Interior Secretary, Doug Burgum, tomorrow at 8:30. Hold on.
No, I was working in Defiance, just doing computer work. Which reminds me, I need to punch out.
That's exactly why I started my business. So, hi, I'm Alan Jones, founder and CEO of Bambi. I created Bambi so small business owners can take back control of their business.
Can I have these over? Is there one more way on your side?
Okay.
3 months off. Bambi HR Manager will take care of that for you in your weekly.
Oh, I've never had to pull up just to wait on a fry.
We'll take care of the rest. I'm so confident that Bambi will help you focus on what you love about running your business. I'm offering a $1 trial to the service for your first month. Trust me, there are no limits to the amount of calls or questions you can give your Bambi HR Manager. After your first month, just 20. Yes, $29 a month for companies of any size. Month to month. No hidden fees. Cancel anytime. Get a month of Bambi for just $1. Go to Bambi.com and type Patriot under radio to schedule your first call with an HR manager right now. Go to
AC4, thanks for the follow.
Patriot Radio. If you're
It
looking
tastes
for
like
the
Diet
right
Pop.
franchise concept at the right time, say hello to Sparkle, not your average dog groomer. A new franchise concept that offers dog lovers quality, routine, and affordable care 7 days a week, and entrepreneurs the opportunity of a lifetime. Sparkle offers a strong, scalable business model that drives monthly recurring revenue and provides investors with the opportunity to take a bite out of
National Dog Day, was it?
industry. With over 300 licenses already awarded to our regional developers and franchisees, there's never been a better time to own a Sparkle franchise in your market. Prime regional developer opportunities and franchise locations are going fast. Invest in a Sparkle grooming franchise today and get full service support from expert franchisors who know how to make business a whole lot of.
I did order a diet. God damn it.
Questions or want to learn more? Visit sparklefranchising.com today or give us a call at 888-600-4491.
Wasn't paying attention. Accidentally ordered a Diet Coke. I hate Diet Coke, but I'll drink it. It's cold and wet.
Sparkle, not your average franchise. Millions are choosing NordVPN to stay safer online. Get NordVPN today with 77% off and up to 3 months extra. NordVPN will encrypt your online traffic and help you avoid phishing, scams, and malware. Get the special NordVPN deal today at nordvpn.com. This offer includes a 77% discount on a 2-year plan and up to 3 extra.
Oh yeah, Companion Dog Day.
Additional terms apply and can be found on nordvpn.com. The offer is.
I don't like any Diet Pops. I don't like the taste of fake sugar. I prefer real sugar over corn syrup too, but I'll take what I can get. Any artificial sweeteners, I can taste it a mile away. I just checked the app. I accidentally clicked on Diet Coke instead of regular Coke. They ordered it before I pulled away. No big deal. Let me. I want to hear the rest of Robert Gouvea's show from earlier.
After that amazing conversation, we're not done. We have even more Stacey on the Right. Go to Twitter and follow me, guys. I'm Stacey on the Right on Twitter. And if you want to watch video clips,
if it kicks off from where I left.
Okay, I don't know why this would be you, but let's just say that you have not yet tuned to the station that we are on your regular television for the Salem News Channel show, Stacey Washington Now. If you haven't done that, then.
So they continue. They say that Trump is running a political campaign that must yield to the orderly administration of double. In fact, courts have already considered and rejected the premise of Cotton's allegations. One court denied a motion to dismiss that alleged that the prosecution was selective and vindictive. And who was that? Oh, yeah, it was Judge Chutkan right there. She said the timing of this case, right? Trump said Jack Smith is a partisan hack who is prosecuting me. Judge Chutkan said, no, he's amazing. And so now Jack Smith's lawyers are referencing Judge Chutkan. Now, with respect to the allegation that Smith sought to influence the election by moving for an expedited review by the appeals court and other things.
Thank you.
And both agreed to expedite the appeals. The D.C. Circuit declared that delaying the trial date would be counterproductive, right? So they said, well, even the Court of Appeals, also corrupt out of D.C., well, they want the trial to happen too, because of course they did. And the allegation that Smith skirted the normal appellate process ignores the fact that this was the procedural path taken by other people. And, Jack Smith was trying to leapfrog some certain decisions, go to the Court of Appeals, go to the Supreme Court to get them to come back and rule on these things. And people are going, well, that's out of order. And the Supreme Court, if I remember correctly, also smacked him down on that. There, the Supreme Court granted petition. And so there's precedent, okay? Jack Smith was just doing what everybody else did, and so he's not a bad person. Given the lengthy procedural record and careful attention afforded to these issues by the judges overseeing these prosecutions, like Chutkan, and I noticed they didn't mention Judge Eileen Cannon and her order that Jack Smith was illegitimate. This office should not relitigate the baseless allegations that were unsuccessfully advanced before the federal courts, and they should certainly not be scrutinized in response to a partisan referral. And so they send this letter like, please don't prosecute. If you intend to go forward with this in any way, just let us know. They're hearing the rumors out there. We insist that you engage with us so that any finding by the special counsel is informed by the record. Okay, let us send you more letters. If you're going to indict us, like, let us know why, and we'll get you some paperwork. We are confident that an objective assessment of the facts will lead to the inescapable conclusion that the prosecutions that were brought by Jack were entirely...
We got all our numbers on Rumble. I just prefer it.
They were failures. And he was deemed illegitimate by a real judge who actually understood the law. Judge Chutkan, of course, is just an Obama-appointed partisan in the D.C. circuit who's just playing that game. So, nice letter to the DOJ. The DOJ hopefully just says, well, this is interesting, read. Thank you for this.
Let's get
with you. You'll get notice
C4 membership, too.
Charges. When you get your subpoena, when you get an indictment, how about that? When you get a notice to appear, that's when we'll start to engage with you, and we can talk about a plea deal at that time. But here is how they sound over on CNN. I wanted to share a little bit of this with you. I know it's kind of painful to listen to these people, but they're freaked. All right, Jack Smith, you can see, is freaked. His lawyers, they're like reaching out, like, hey, I know you don't want to talk to us, but we really want to talk to you.
Is this closed?
And the DOJ is just leaving them on red. Like, no, DOJ just read it. Interesting. Are you there? I really, need to talk to you. It's pretty important. Please call me. I miss you. Whatever.
They've been closing it, though. It's good.
Goes on and on. So they're getting nervous, sending letters, alerting that, they're on the case. And here are these people over here. I mean, this is on CNN, and they're very nervous. You can hear it in their voices saying...
You might have to check your email and verify your account to get it accepted properly.
A criminal crusade against unprecedented is all of this. Well, this crusade, a criminal crusade against political adversaries, is completely unprecedented in all of American history.
It is. It's unprecedented. I wonder if this guy remembers this photograph right here.
Norris, brother.
Big Fanny out of Georgia indicted 19 people. And remember when a bunch of other states did that too? Arizona, did it. Other states, I think Wisconsin did it. Remember when Bragg and Tishy, who just got backhanded by the Court of Appeals and had her entire judgment invalidated? Remember when she just got told? Remember that? Never in the history has it happened. Okay, they're just delusional or they're just liars. It's not a statement you can take seriously. 1%.
I think that's true. Now, when the Bolton matter, I think in fairness to the Justice Department, it needs to be pointed out that those search warrants were approved by an independent magistrate, both in New York and in Washington and Maryland. So there was at least some check observed. But when you look at the full range of criminal investigations, whether it's Senator Adam Schiff or New York Attorney General Tish.
Yeah, so he's not saying that they just raided Bolton's house illegally. They got a warrant. They went to a judge. Judge, we think that the walrus has classified documents stuffed behind his stash. Can you go in and investigate? Yeah. I've always thought there was something behind that. So yeah, go in there. And that's a check and balance. How is this authoritarianism? How is this
Hey, David.
You can make the argument Jack Smith went and got the same check from Bruce down in Florida.
Any deer? I haven't seen any yet.
The Fed governor who was the president.
I think there's a piggy up ahead, though.
Whether that's legal is a separate question. Miles Taylor, who's on tonight. All of these are political adversaries under criminal investigation. And I should add to that list Barack Obama, whom the president said committed treason and is now under investigation. This kind of crusade against enemies is absolutely unprecedented.
Ridiculous.
Miles, how concerned or what happened to Bolton could happen here?
Anderson, we think it's likely. I mean, we think that there's a decent chance. I mean, if past is any indicator of what the president's done, we think this is certainly possible. But one of the things I want to point out is I think people can get a little disassociated from this whole thing when they focus on the elites who are being targeted. Maybe it worries the average American that John Bolton or Chris Christie or Senator Schiff or Miles Taylor is being targeted, but they don't think it really affects them. That's where I think people are wrong. This is effective. In the United States of America, you don't need a permission slip to criticize the President of the United States.
I know what he's talking about now. Their party went and rounded up Americans who were peacefully protesting at the Capitol. So if he's going to make the argument that it's like, well, they came for them first, and I didn't object. They came for them, I didn't object. Now they're going to come for you, fellow Americans. I think their party has a much broader history of that.
They're going to be putting the spans in. I think they're actually going to close the freeway in a minute. Pretty soon.
They are struggling.
They made it just in time. They're putting new spans in for that overpass.
And so we don't need to listen anymore of it, but you get the gist. Now here,
all those trucks on the left have the I-beams. They're huge I-beams.
President Trump explaining what he thinks about Jack.
Yeah, you can add new people to your team if you want to. I think it opened up as of today. All the waiver wire opened up. So if you want to make some changes to your lineup, you're more than welcome to. You can add and drop.
Currently, there is a fact-finding investigation by a special prosecutor that was appointed by the National Assembly. And this special prosecutor...
Deranged Jack Smith, took him from one country. Deranged, he's a deranged, sick individual. I'm only kidding.
Maybe I'm not. That special prosecutor is not under my control. And so the special prosecutor is conducting a fact-finding investigation. And I would like to explain about what you said about U.S. bases. We did not conduct a search and seizure.
All right, so because we don't know if they've got their own version of a deranged Jack Smith over there, but Trump definitely calling out Jack Smith in the Oval Office, and we're going to keep our eye on that one. But of course, we know they are the people who launch political attacks. They wage a full-blown war against one man and everybody who supported him in the aftermath of January 6th. They went after peaceful protesters. They went after parents at school board meetings. They went after pro-lifers. They went after people who objected to COVID. They had cops showing up at gyms and hair salons. Are you cutting hair in there? Insanity. They're going to say that Trump's sending the National Guard out or prosecuting the actual criminals.
Yeah, I think it is. It's pretty good. You just want to keep an eye on it for like injuries and stuff like that.
Victims. We don't think so. And so we're
make adjustments for that.
Developments on it.
You know, if someone gets hurt and they're gone for multiple weeks, it might not be worth keeping them even on the bench.
Thanks for subscribing.
I always keep an eye on everybody's teams.
All right, we got more business to attend to.
Help them out if they're not paying much attention. Just make sure your lineup is ready.
Big fan. And here is the story. Back from
on Thursday on a week, during the day on Thursday on a weekly basis, because that's when the week starts.
By the court to turn over some records. She really doesn't want to turn over those records because there are a lot of them. Thousands of text messages, maybe photos, voicemails, videos, and a bunch of other things back and forth, including messages and questions about what she was doing with Nathan Wade, her lover, who she hired and paid $700,000 for in a 2-hour shared residences and lied about all of it. Committed perjury, didn't declare all sorts of expenditures. The list goes on and on.
Into the community, or just do your own thing? Like, how do you want to operate?
I mean, the thing is, because obviously it's more mainly about.
But we have questions about what she was doing, who she was talking to, was she colluding with the Biden administration to indict Trump and go after him, and how deep does this go? So our friends over at Judicial Watch, including Tom Fitton, you know who he is. They say, we announce that a Georgia state court has now ordered Fannie to give us some new information related to the Trump records. Because she sent in an affidavit, right? She said, well,
I don't think this Sunday is the first Sunday. I think the week after.
But the problem with her response is that she was.
I think next week is when it starts.
Did she
after
look at Nathan Wade's device
Labor Day.
or not? Did she look at Michael a lawsuit? They sued. And the court order was issued after Judicial Watch sued. And they awarded $21,000 to Judicial Watch for attorney's fees, baby. Shout out. The new court order came down, and let's take a look at it now. Here is what we got from Fannie Land. Judicial Watch versus Fannie Willis, the biggest Fannie in all of Georgia. Fannie is now ordered to comply. Here's the background. 2 years ago, Judicial Watch submitted an open records request to Fannie. They wanted all documents and communications sent to or
It's already pretty big.
Jack Smith, the illegitimate prosecutor.
I mean, they got 32 teams?
All documents and communications also sent over to the January 6th Select Committee, also building criminals. However, they were pardoned. The defendant, Fannie, initially claimed to have no responsive record. I don't know what you're talking about. Nathan Wade? Nathan who? Doubting this for the very good reason that it already had a responsive document in its possession, they sued. Judicial Watch says, we know you have records because we have a copy of them. They sued, and they have since secured a default judgment against Fannie. Okay, so Fannie basically lost by default because she wasn't providing materials, wasn't responding. And the court says, it turns out, she does have responsive records. Fannie busted. On March 7, 2020,
Yeah.
after hearing about the desultory efforts to determine the full universe of responsive.
Yeah, I've seen the reports, but I also saw, I mean, yeah, he went overboard with doing that. But that guy hazed him earlier. He hit him in the head with a can and tried to crush a can on his head after that kid just had a concussion a couple days before. I mean, the dude is nuts. I mean, Raja's son is nuts. Rampage's son is, Raja is nuts. I mean, that guy was unconscious and he hit him like 22 times in the head before getting pulled off of him.
They didn't exist. Okay, it's different. They exist, but you're not entitled to them is different than they do not exist. So what happened is
well, they always play in London. They always have those overseas games. But what sucks is because if you have to go to one of those games, it takes away one of your home games.
And that device contains 212 pages
it sucks for the fans
of
anyway.
Search protocols, emails, text messages, and written correspondence. So Fannie delivered some materials over. The court has since reviewed these materials and concurs with Fannie. At this point, given that the criminal case related to these matters materials remains open, but even if not particularly active, but the cases are open.
But I mean, the response was very in-proportional. And then him, like, literally recording, streaming himself afterwards.
Over something. But Fannie's work is not done yet, however, says this judge.
Sealed the deal on him getting in trouble over it.
These materials,
I guess they've been pressuring the people at that wrestling school to say that they didn't see anything.
The court notices you're missing some things.
Or to not be witnesses.
Saying this, there was no search protocol produced nor by the investigator called Michael L. Hill. Michael L. Hill indicating what accounts, devices were searched for and for what terms. It is also unclear if anyone consulted with Nathan Wade, Nathan's hot dog who is now employed elsewhere, but who at all relevant times was, among other things, the lead counsel for the office's investigation into possible criminal disruption that occurred back during the 2020 election. So they're missing all of Nathan Wade. If anyone consulted with Nathan at all, no one even checked that. Like, he's pretty critical. He's the other half of the mama jumma, the hibbity-dibbity. Like, it takes two to have a hibbity-dibbity. You can't have only one. So we need to know, and he was the special prosecutor, okay? He's pretty important to the entire investigation. She appointed him to lead it. Nobody talked to the investigator. Nobody consulted Nathan Wade. Your office is a joke. You already know that.
Yeah.
What the
It just wasn't very popular.
Judges are just being so
they can get together a good crowd for like one game, whatever, they do.
Legal counsel's affidavit appears that defendant's own records were served.
They do that, but I don't know if they can do a full the whole schedule,
that was used to do so, nor the scope of the search described. Okay, so Fannie Mae just searches for like Smith, goes in her emails as Smith, got a blacksmith, John Smith, Jack Smith, Iron Smith. Okay, goes through, but nothing responsive. Responds, and that's it. They said, well, what did you search for, Fannie? Give us some details on this. And so consequently, Fannie gets an order. Okay, within 14 days of this order, Fannie, you shall submit to the court the search protocols, the search terms used, and the data sources searched for Hill, the lead investigator, and you want clarification. Did you search Nathan Wade or materials or not? If they were not, they shall be. Okay, go get his records.
He was asking me earlier if I had enough watch hours.
Responsive records forwarded to the court.
We're good to go for this month. We'll start it all over again on the 1st.
Can't you say I did a search and give us nothing? Any additional materials that are generated by this effort will be received in camera to the judge only and will remain in camera pending an analysis similar to the one performed on the first set of submitted materials. All records, make sure they're labeled. This court will view these materials, and if any of these materials are disclosable, like if the public can read them, we're going to notify Fannie so that she may file a justification.
Tell them I said hi.
Any such pleadings will be filed under seal and shall be submitted pursuant to the March order, clarifying what Fannie must do. From Judge Robert C.I. McBurney. And this looks like it's a prior affidavit that they submitted. Yeah, so this is like Fannie's affidavit. Yeah, so hey, my name is Andrea Oliver, and that is...
That field is huge in the CFL.
I did search, and I found everything, and I searched a couple people here, a couple people at Fannie's office. We submitted a couple things to you, and based on my review, we've done our job, right? So they say not good enough. So go back, give it a second attempt, and get us those records. Now, Fannie Willis was part of a multi-pronged effort to try to take out the Democrats' political opponent, President Trump, and anybody who supported him. And they launched a series of investigations. Okay, this is Andrew Weissman. You remember him? He was part of the Mueller team. And this was the guy who's so dumb he couldn't remember his cell phone password. And he just kept entering it in there. I'm so dumb. I'm Andrew Weissman. I can't remember a 4-digit code. Oh, the phone deletes everything. Interesting. And then that same thing happened to a bunch of other people on the Mueller investigation because they were corrupt. They were leaking information to the media, and they were trying to ensnare and prosecute people illegally and illegitimately. And now look at his sour scowl. Man, you're busted, boy. You can see it on his face. Mark Elias. These two look like they're having a rough time out there, for sure. And so let's listen in on them about how freaked out they are. Once again, shout out to Gunther Edelman over on that for watching these shows so that we don't have to, and then clipping out the best parts for us. We appreciate that. But here is this, a little bit of this. You can hear how freaked they are.
MSNBC political analyst Kim Atkins-Storrs here. Mark Elias, I'm going to start with you because you've been attacked by Donald Trump in a speech he delivered at the Department of Justice.
I think they're wider, too.
Do you feel the way Miles Scarlett feels, that it could happen to you?
Absolutely. Look, I mean, I was Hillary Clinton's general counsel in 2016.
She's getting indicted too.
And for that, for the privilege, and it was a genuine privilege of representing Secretary Clinton, Donald Trump.
Yeah, and you guys created the fake Steele dossier allegation. Mark Elias was working for Perkins Coie. His number two essentially was Michael Sussman. Michael Sussman and the Perkins Coie people hired Fusion GPS. Fusion GPS then went and got the Steele dossier, which was the fake hoax, and they were working for Hillary Clinton.
Welcome, Slinky.
Lawyers. So they generated the whole thing. Michael Sussman went to the fake story, propaganda. That ultimately made its way into the FBI and became a part of the intelligence assessment that Obama ordered to try to create the Russian collusion hoax, okay? All of that, which led back to Mueller, which was where Weissman was working on, okay? They're all in this gigantic, disgusting, incestuous circle, and they're now very upset that they got caught.
Trump created an entire, criminal investigation that John Durham had that went after me and others. It didn't indict me. It didn't indict others who got acquitted.
Michael Sussman got charged and acquitted, and you should have been indicted. The fact that Durham didn't indict you, in my opinion, Durham should have indicted a lot more people. He didn't cover it up. We're just learning stuff in the Durham annals. James Comey should have been indicted.
But he has threatened essentially to bring that back. In 2020, I represented Joe Biden and the Democratic Party in defeating Donald Trump more than 60 times in court.
Yeah, and we covered a lot of those lawsuits. And my friends, this is happening again right now. So we're watching this warm up. We talked about it this morning on the member screen about what's happening in Utah just recently. Judge ordering new maps, and we're going to see the lawsuits are filed. We're going to talk about it in the next segment about the League of Women Voters. Like, they're all coming back in full force. And so if you got enough of Mark Elias, we all know what he sounds like, but they just sound and they look terrible. It's like, man, I don't know, not getting some sleep, probably stress eating, stress drinking. Between him and Weissman, yeah, they're having a rough time over there. Let's check this shit right now. All right, so that's the update.
It's basically like the
eye on this one. She better get those records over
the minor leagues. If you don't get drafted in the NFL, that's always an option.
Thanks for subscribing and joining. All right, let's continue on, my friends. We got another pretty sizable update on this one. And this one comes from the Third Circuit Court of Appeals. And here's what it looks like. Here's what this one is.
He does great for me. He's a little shit to her though. She's not very stern with him, so he doesn't quite listen to her as well. But he's still a baby.
Making this ruling that really could be precedent for a bunch of different states inside the Third Circuit.
It's a big baby.
And what's so curious about this?
We're going to a Whiskey Myers concert tomorrow night.
Have a law that says you have to put a date on your ballot, and you don't. The original interpretation before this decision came down was that ballot doesn't count. Okay, you can't fill out your ballot appropriately, so it doesn't count. It's disqualified. Like, fill it out appropriately, get it in on time, or otherwise it doesn't count. This is the same thing that applies everywhere in life. Like, you pay your car insurance, it lapses. You pay your electricity bill, they shut it off. You've got to comply with the normal conditions of being an adult. Putting a date on the ballot to verify that you signed it at a certain date and time, so you have a record of that, is part of the statute, but not anymore. Here's what went down in this case. So a bunch of people sued. It's a big opinion. It's 55 pages. And so let's just hit a quick mind map update and get our bearings straight on the case before we dive into a little bit of the opinion. So where did this start? How did it all go down? Well, here's where it's originated from. The Western District of Pennsylvania. And we've got these judges, who I'll show you more about. At the lower level court, it was this one.
Oh, Brand for Liberty just went live. Wow, I haven't seen him live in forever.
And let's see who appointed her. Trump appointed her back in 2018. So
he's been booted off of YouTube 70 times, off of Twitch. So he's on kick.
Has these three people on it. This woman is called Patty Schwartz. She was appointed by Barack Obama, and she went to the University of Pennsylvania. She's on the case. We also have this woman, Ariana Freeman, also made the decision. She was appointed by Joe Biden in 2022, and she went to Yale. Then we got this guy who's actually going to author the decision. This is a Bush appointee who has been in there since 2002, and was previously the chief judge, and now he's writing the decision. So you've got the parties who know who they are. Now, of course, the question is about who is involved, really. And it's a bunch of left-wing groups. Let me show you who is behind a lot of this. The people suing are the Democratic Senatorial Campaign Committee. They hate dates on ballots because then they can't bring a bunch of ballots that have no dates on them. The DCCC, the Democratic Congressional Campaign Committee, AFT Pennsylvania, and others. Okay, they're all suing. We saw this happen a lot back in 2020. These private groups.
He's come back. I think he's had some personal things going on too. Because he came back for a couple of weeks and then disappeared again. And he had a nice setup too, a nice little streaming little studio thing going in one of his rooms.
The law the same. We have just a couple people, not even anybody really that stands out to us. But on the other side, all of these Democrat interests are crashing into this year. Pennsylvania Department of State Black Political Empowerment Project, Common Cause Pennsylvania, League of Women Voters, Power Interfaith, Pennsylvania NAACP, and the rest of them. Why are they so opposed to dates on ballots? I don't know. Maybe because they don't want election integrity to happen. And so the core details of this, of course, is about mail-in ballots. And the question is about the current Pennsylvania law, which up until today said that you would discard undated or misdated envelopes. They came in, you throw them out. They give us a lot of historical context in the case, and it starts out back in 1937. And in 1937, they originally had military ballots.
Prison Code just went live.
Military service
on Kick as well.
1945, they added return envelopes. 1963, they extended absentee voting. So just like military service members, if you have an enumerated circumstance, you can vote absentee. 1968, there was a Timeliness Act, and it said that timeliness needed to be received on election day. And it removed the set-aside requirement for missing and incorrect dates. So then they're going to say, okay, from about 1968 to 2019,
roadkill. It's like someone smoked a deer.
Judges love to do this. It's been this way for so long. Roe versus Wade was the law for 60 years, that's what I remember. And now you changed it. Okay, that's right. The legislature did. They passed Act 77, and it enacted universal mail-in voting. And they retained in that act, fill out, date, and sign in the law, in the language of the statute, okay, including a date. And so we've got questions of like what happens with all of these ballots that have come through. And we got some numbers on this.
It's weird. Their turning signal's not working. One in their mirror worked.
In 2024, 4,500 ballots were decided.
Yeah. The other way,
there's no opportunity.
The right-handed turn signal didn't work.
For a voter to go cure the deficiency. And they can't go vote in person. Okay, this is what the court is fleshing out for us. So there are some actual consequences. Like people are not putting dates on it, and their vote is not counting.
The car is fucking far away.
We've got the procedural history on this. We know it came back down from the lower level judge. Eakin sued. RNC intervened. Attorney General opted not to intervene. The district court found for the people suing, and then said you can no longer discard ballots. Right? If a ballot comes in that is missing a date, you got to throw it out. So there's a bunch of legal analysis in this. Of course, you've got the balancing test here. So there's really, what is the standard? So Act 77, is it legitimate or not? You have to have a balancing test. The constitutional rights of the people to go vote versus the state's interest in having election integrity. Right? There's a balance here. Yes, you got a constitutional process right to go vote.
Got bumped.
You have unfettered, like you can't vote anytime you want, wherever you want. There's limitations to it. But what is the extent of the burden on that constitutional right? And how do you measure those things out? So they spent a lot of time on that in the decision. We'll fast forward through it. Saying here, the DOJ, in this case, this is basically the Pennsylvania legislature who's kind of representing the other end on this. In other words, the state that wants to preserve the dates on the ballots. They say we're allowed to do this, and it's all legitimate, okay? It's a de minimis burden. It's not actually a burden. All you have to do is fill out
your phone overheated.
Of course, the court comes down and gives us their conclusion. And so let's jump into the decision a little bit now that we have it here. So background has been laid out, and we're fast forwarding through a lot of the header until we get to the opinion of the
throw in the freezer for a minute.
Drafted by Smith, the Bush appointee and the circuit judge. He says, all right, everybody, You know, the ballot is a building block of our democracy. There's that word again. Perhaps no civic act has greater importance, and you start to ask yourself,
Hey, Dirty. Catching the end of the drive.
Is this decision so wrong because the judge doesn't know that we don't live in a democracy? How is he using that term? Well, no. Perhaps no civic act has greater importance or consequences than the casting of a ballot. Our Constitution calls upon the states to regulate the mechanics of how its citizens cast their ballots so those citizens can meaningfully express their voices. George Washington once called this the last great experiment in promoting human happiness. But our Constitution also
we're just driving back from doing some computer work. I just set up a couple new iPads for the nurses out in Defiance.
Inquiry is often a difficult one. It requires the courts to balance the constitutionally mandated duty against a constitutionally protected right.
He said duty.
We have to make these decisions. And this one is a hard judgment. We have to determine if Pennsylvania's requirement that mail-in ballots arrive in undated or misdated return envelopes.
Yeah, I'm gonna be done for the night. I'm not gonna do any door dashing. It's already 10:30.
And so weighing the
and I gotta get out to Green Springs kind of early tomorrow. Actually, I gotta go get a paper notarized. A friend of mine's a notary. I gotta go by her workplace and get it notarized.
The balance of the scales leads us to hold that
Providence Township Community Day
with our Constitution, and so we therefore affirm the judgment of the district court, saying that
C4.
This balance weighs in favor of removing the dates, or you actually have to count the ballots, so it's superfluous. It doesn't even matter at all. The decision says, throughout the entire opinion, says the state interests do not justify the burden, right? The state is saying,
yeah, I got to go out all the way out to Green Springs, help them move some equipment from one building to the other. Which means I got to re-register the phones. It's going to be a pain in the butt, but anyway.
It doesn't
tis what it is. Raccoon just crossed the road up there.
And you might even make the argument, like, well, somebody's
he was hauling ass, though.
Like, it's illegal. Just put a date on it. Like, oh, yeah, November 2nd. And then fill that out. But that's another thing to check, right? Like, it's another indicia of fraud. It's another mark on the document. Thousands of proper ballots disqualified, and they said that's a real risk. Okay? Where people are not being allowed to vote, and so they have.
Yeah, on the way out there, I will probably.
And here, as we'll fast forward all the way down to.
I might at the concert too. We'll see what kind of signal we have out there. I'm actually going to drive to my buddy's house, and he's going to drive us because it's at the zoo right by the Toledo Zoo, where the concert is. So.
On the constitutional right to vote. So
we'll see us some Whiskey Myers.
It culminates in county election boards discarding thousands of ballots every time we have an election. Maybe you should fill it out accurately, like anything else. The date requirement will not protect against the vast majority of attempts at voter fraud. And another case where there was voter fraud, it was only an extreme rare instance involving a hapless fraudster who gets a
we're up around 200, just over 250 watch hours this month, so
post-dating
we're doing good.
Voter's death over 6 years and across multiple elections.
Even with me taking a few days off at a time.
Have voted, this fact pattern has appeared only once. So any other case law, it's like, well, it's not really a common thing that's happened here. So that one case is not really applicable.
Yeah, they got a nice little,
as we know, a weighing test. Even where
concert area there at the Toledo Zoo.
Signing a date is all. That invites less scrutiny in our weighing of the interests. But the Commonwealth,
I'll check the mail
is
here
one bizarre instance of the date requirement helping the Commonwealth.
I swear they use my road as a drag strip. Oh, what's that? A dead animal?
But this can't justify
the dead possum
of affecting thousands of Pennsylvania voters every election, which is very interesting. It's like, well, court.
We're good for the month.
Are they investigating? Honestly, how many resources are they going?
I don't know how much more we make just for the more extra watch hours, but
mean that there's not fraud happening.
But yeah, we're good.
Finally, we note that the district court's order only prevents county election boards.
We don't have to keep our phones on watch.
Does not affect what appears
like some months where we've had to catch up right at the end.
Future return envelopes. And so
I made a point this month of trying to get as much done before.
With a date field, and it may continue to utilize the date field in
or like the 20th.
But there's
Let me see if the trash
only
cans.
marginal utility. Like, it's not checking dates doesn't actually matter.
Yeah, that's probably empty.
Which is
It doesn't look like it's been fucking touched.
The legislature, which wrote date in. So they're just.
I swear I hate my trash company.
Called it this. Here you go again, right? Roe versus Wade for 60 years. 1978 to 2019. It's been
I would say he was playing possum, but his guts were hanging out, so he's probably not playing possum.
So in summary, the court says.
Let me see if this trash can's even empty.
The proper state check the mail real quick. Facilitating election efficiency, promoting solemnity.
Yeah, like cramming for a fail.
Is not enough. The date requirement, simply writing a date, seems to hamper rather than facilitate election efficiency. Well, it is another thing to check, right? Obviously, so like there's a reason for that. By its nature, it fails to add solemnity to the process of voting. And you have to sign your date on everything.
Yeah, they just put it right back in the exact same spot.
Discarding thousands of ballots every election is not a reasonable trade-off when there's just very rare fraud. They write, in modern times, every election cycle is witness to thousands of Pennsylvanians voting. They drop their mailed ballot in the mailbox, and they hope it's going to be counted. But this date requirement, now, because somebody...
All right, guys, thanks for hanging out. I appreciate it, and thanks for dropping in, Dirty. We always appreciate you. Make sure you guys hit like on the way out. Close the chat, hit like. It helps. Helps get it out and get my notification out when I do go live. Thank you, guys. Everyone have a good night. Peace.
The government, like, well...